Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:02 p.m. and I'm going to call the meeting to order. We will start off with roll call. Anissa, do we have anybody via Zoom? Do you know?
There could be two.
Okay.
Adam hasn't let me know if anybody's come in yet.
Okay.
No one on Zoom yet.
No one is present on Zoom yet, so I'll go through the list. Frederick Atkins has an excused absence tonight, as well as Mrs. Greta Campbell, Bobby D'Alessandro, Fred Elliott, here. Miss Ramey Hall, here. James May, here. Joe Mazurkowitz, here. Joseph Mitchell, here. Joshua Melendez, here. Richard Cole Peacock. He was supposed to attend via Zoom, so we'll see if he jumps on. Matthew Ropestorp.
Here.
Jose Santos. Okay, Sharon Schulman. Here. Sia Sherman. Here. And Christopher Simino.
Here.
Okay, Ms. Linkford Fleming was also going to try to attend Zoom, so we'll let you all know if anybody jumps on. I do want to welcome our 4 new members, Ramey Hall, James May, Joshua Melendez, and please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, and Sharon Schulman. Welcome to the committee. We're very excited to have you guys join us. So with that, I will turn it over to our board attorney, Ms. Kathy Dupree Bruno, to go through our selection of officers as we are going to elect a new chair and vice chair tonight.
So let's see if this is on. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So welcome. My name is Kathy Dupree Bruno. I'm the board attorney and the general counsel for the district. And part of my job is to help you get started on your mission of overseeing our ISSOC and our sales tax. And we're going to start that off by doing nominations for chair, and we're going to do nominations for vice chair. So this is how it's going to work. I will call nominations first for the chair, and once a member has made a nomination, I will verify that that nominee is able and willing to serve and consents to the nomination. Once all nominations have been made, I will call the nominations for a vote in the order in which the nominations have been received. This will be a voice vote. Please remember to vote yes, aye to the member you want to have elected, or no, nay for the member you do not want to be elected. Once we have received a simple majority vote for a particular candidate, that person will be elected as the chair, and no further votes will be taken. If we go through all of the nominees and no candidate receives a majority of the votes, we will begin the voting process again from the top until one candidate receives a majority of the votes. Are there, how many members at this point? Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do have a quorum. There are 8 members required for a quorum.
How many are present? 8 or more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We have 11 members present.
11. Thank you very much. All right. At this time, nominations are open. I will accept nominations for the chair.
I'd like to nominate
Mr. Semino, are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
I make a motion we close the floor to nominations.
At this point, Mr. Semino has been elected by acclamation. Congratulations.
Weren't you supposed to ask me if I'd be willing to?
Well, considering the environment and the vibe that was going on, I figured that you were more than willing to serve. But are you willing to serve?
Sure.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Not happily, willing.
Very good. Thank you very much. And at this time, we will open up nominations for vice chair.
I would nominate Fred Elliott.
Are there any other nominations?
I make a motion the floor is closed to nominations.
Okay. Mr. Elliott, are you willing to serve? Yes. All right. So by acclamation, Mr. Elliott has won the nominations. There you go, Sarah.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to our chair and vice chair. Yes, ma'am. No, Kathy and I reviewed the policy, and the recording secretary should be a district staff member. So going forward, Anissa will take the minutes for the committee. So you're very welcome, Sia.
I move we change that policy.
Okay, well, Mr. Chair, would you like to take over the meeting from here, starting with approval of the prior meeting minutes?
Thank you, I think. And welcome to our new members. I'm Chris Simino, and I work at Lee Health, but I have been a member of the ISSOC since the very first meeting. So I appreciate the nomination, but feel it's probably my opportunity to continue to serve this great committee, and appreciate all the work that all of our past members have put into this and our new members. So thank you all for serving and for agreeing to be here. So we will start the meeting asking for approval for, or a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Joseph. Any discussion about the minutes from the prior? Any adjustments, adaptations? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Sarah, is there any public comment before the committee?
No, sir.
Thank you. Moving forward, we will go back to Ms. Kathy Dupuy Bruno for some legal guidance for our committee members. Attorney Dupuy Bruno.
Thank you, Anissa. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee, for your indulgence as I go through my obligation pursuant to Board Policy 9143. First and foremost, again, welcome and congratulations. We'll go directly to the agenda. Board Policy 9143 is the policy that pretty much gives the guidance and the rules with regards to the ISSOC committee. We're also going to go through sunshine and public records, as well as a brief review of parliamentary procedure. So ISSOC was established as a result of the resolution the board adopted in February 6, 2018, relating to the half-cent sales surcharge tax by referendum. There are 4 things that the resolution requires you to do: oversee and approve the implementation of the plan. It's important to the committee oversees the use of the sales tax revenues and make sure it is in alignment with the Exhibit A of the resolution, or as that exhibit may change. Provides periodic reports to the board, as well as it is an integral actual part of the plan to ensure that there is compliance. Again, the policy that governs this committee is 9143. The purpose of the committee is to, again, ensure that the expenditures are consistent and verified with the projects and the purposes that is set out in the resolution. Membership is 15 members with 2 alternates, 14 selected by the board, 1 selected by the superintendent, and these are for 4-year terms. It is subject to revocation by the board at any time, the appointments. The committee shall provide 3 written reports to the board, and those written reports are normally provided by staff. And then once a year, your chairman or other designee will come before the board to provide an oral presentation. Regarding sunshine law, this committee is considered a sunshine committee. When 2 or more committee members are together, any issue that foreseeably can appear before you or will come before you cannot be discussed. And it's really important that you're careful with text messages and Facebook and emails, because interaction and dialogue through those mechanisms are also a violation of the sunshine law. Public record is also part of this committee because everything that we do in the district is within the Chapter 286, the Governance and Sunshine Law. And that means that anything that is utilized to perpetuate, communicate, or formalize knowledge is a public record. So all of your emails, your correspondence with Sarah, all of those will be public records. Any document that is generated is a public record. Now we're going to go through Robert's Rules of Order. You already have your quorum, which is 50 plus 1. Your meetings can occur telephonically or video conference, or it can be in person. You to choose that during your first meeting. And then you've already elected your chair. Your chair guides and conducts each committee meeting. Your vice chair conducts the meetings in the absence of the chair. And the chair and vice chair may only serve 2 one-year consecutive terms. At the first meeting, you selected your chair already. And then now we'll talk just a little bit about how Robert's Rules of Order works. It's mostly by motion. Nothing gets discussed unless there's a proper motion that is on the floor. Anybody know how to make a motion? I'm sure you guys do because you've been around for a long time. You just basically say, I'd like to make a motion. There should be a second. There should be a discussion. And then at that point, you take your vote. And the chair is responsible to ensure that those votes are properly counted and gives you the resolution of those votes. Are there any questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for your time and enjoy your meeting.
Thank you very much. That was very short and sweet, and we appreciate that. Thank you. I have no ISSOC chair update.
Okay, I can speak to that. So as Kathy mentioned, we do have in the ISSOC board policy where 4 updates are provided to the board annually. So Anissa and I do submit them to the board after each meeting. However, annually we are required to conduct an in-person meeting, and we have that meeting scheduled for May 6th. So typically the chair or another committee member would attend that presentation. So it would be May 6th around 1 p.m. is when the workshop starts. So I can reach out to you, Mr. Semino, to see if you're available. And if not, work with another committee member that may want to present. Typically, myself and that person would work together on the presentation and be prepared to present that to the board. So just let me know your availability and we can work around that. And lastly, I do want to add, this isn't on the agenda, but we discussed this at the last meeting. The committee had been conducting presentations with, chambers of commerce, Rotary clubs, Kiwanis, on behalf of the sales tax, just educating the community, making awareness, sharing our story of the projects that have been completed. So if there's anybody who would like to continue those, we haven't done one in about 1 year. We were doing them pretty frequently. So if there's anybody who has, communities that you're a part of that you would like to conduct a presentation, we would love to hear from you on that. You can reach out to Anissa or myself directly indicating such, what community group you're a part of, and then we can work together with our communications team to get those scheduled, meet to prepare the presentation, and of course we always make staff available for those presentations in case questions come up that you may not be able to answer. Are there any questions about the community presentations or discussion that you would like to have around that?
Could you do us a favor and just resend the latest version to the entire committee, and so people can review it? It is not a hard presentation to deliver. Many of us have done it in community settings, so it's not only an educational platform for our committee members, especially the new ones, but they'll learn that it's not that hard to present. And I'll back you up that school staff is in attendance with you to answer any detailed questions.
We will send that presentation out.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mr. Missouri.
Mr. Chairman, I would be happy to volunteer to present in the Western Zone.
Thank you, sir. Duly noted.
And I'll be happy to present the East.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much, and we will reach out to you directly to coordinate those presentations.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there any other questions? Do we have Ms. Jada Langford Fleming with us?
Somebody did join via Zoom. I'm not sure if they can hear us. We don't know who it is. It just says iPhone, and we're not able to get their name. So can you hear us?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Board Member Langford Fleming. I'm going to chime in here really quick because I'm not able to stay the whole meeting, but I just wanted to say thank you to the new board members and thank you to the outgoing for your service. I know that this committee is always committed, as well as the board, at spending taxpayer dollars wisely and being good stewards of that. So just in case I get bumped off or drop this call, I just want to make sure that that due diligence has been done and that you know how much you are appreciated for serving on this committee, as well as the point I wanted to bring up from what I was hearing. Yes, reaching out to our county at large, especially being the at-large board member, is crucial. And I just want to say thank you for those of you in each zone that have already volunteered to do so, reaching our community, letting them know what we are doing with their dollars, the direction of the district, and the exponential growth is really important for everyone to know. So before I get bumped off this call, I just wanted to put my sports out there. And again, thank you to the new board members and congratulations to the new chair.
Thank you, Jada, for joining us. We'll move on to what is essentially the meat of our responsibility as the committee. For the new members on the committee, as you saw what our charge is to evaluate the projects that are being funded by the independent sales surcharge, the half-penny sales tax, to make sure that it is aligned with the what was passed by the taxpayers, and that it is being used effectively and efficiently by our district. So we will start with a review of the sales tax funded projects. That's usually done by our administrative team, and so we'll start with construction projects.
Good evening, members of the ISSOC committee. My name is Larry Stevens. I serve as the Chief Operations Officer for the school district. It is a privilege to come before you, and even though it was unexpected, the team members that would generally present to you all, i.e. Frederick Ross or Scott Rickenbacker, are out today. So it's my pleasure to provide some information to you that I feel will be helpful. Excuse me just a moment. In all honesty, I have to tell you, I was hoping someone else would go first. But there are a number of projects that we would like to share with you that have benefited from the funds from the ISSOC committee. As you can tell, there are lots. There are approximately 10 projects that have benefited, and they are currently in the design phase. A lot of those are renovations to the HVAC systems, as well as traffic improvements that we're in the midst of trying to establish as well. They're in the design phase. The traffic improvement studies would help us to eliminate the backups for parent pickup and drop off, as well as that traffic flowing into roadways. We're getting a lot of complaints sometimes about traffic from the school is backing up into certain roadways, and we're trying to eliminate that issue. One of which, just recently we were discussing one whereby we're trying to work with the local DOT to add a right turn lane. So those are the types of projects we're trying to design and mitigate those issues. In addition to those that are in the design phase, we have approximately 10 projects, including the VPAA Black Box Theater. That's in the construction project design, Lemuel Till Veterans Park Academy and the Riverdale High School, which should be completed, we believe, in August of this year. It has been a long process, I'm sure, but we are trying to wind that particular project down and also move forward with others. The VPAA is considered new construction because there are lots of updates. The Lemuel Till project is just a renovation to the HVAC and the roof. And Veterans Park, again, the academy is a renovation to the campus itself. In addition to those, excuse me. My fingers are moving faster than I would like them to. We have approximately 6 projects in the closeout phase, as well as those that were in design and construction phase. And all of those, except for the Gateway Elementary School, is they're in the audit phase right now, just to be sure that we have appropriately mandated funds, made payments appropriately. The work is done appropriately as well. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Mazurkowitz.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Recent changes in the bus transportation system, I believe, because I live next to Trafalgar Elementary, Trafalgar Middle, have had a major increase in parents drop-off and pickup. Has that been district-wide? And what is the contemplated cost of that change?
When it comes to a change, it depends upon the school, the location, the available land that's at the school and around surrounding the school. Those things are considered in the design when we're trying to mitigate issues, especially, as I said before, parent pickups, bus loops, those types of things. We're trying to move bus loops away from where parents are dropping kids off and picking them up, just for the safety of the kids and to increase the flow also of traffic. So in every case that we can, we are moving the buses away from similar areas. And where we can also, we're trying things such as double stacking. So instead of one line of traffic, we're trying to increase that to 2, and again, maintaining the safety of the children.
While we have celebrated the reduction in the cost of transportation, have we quantified the increased cost of dealing with additional parent pickup and drop-off?
Would you further qualify your statement, meaning that there have been increased costs for parents drop-off and pickup?
In my area, there are a lot of cars blocking the roadway that were not blocking the roadway 2 years ago.
Okay.
I'll be kind. There is a cost associated with that. Is that a cost that is borne by the school board, or the district, or is that a cost that is borne by the local community?
I hear costs, but I'm not hearing specific costs. What I can tell you, though, there are strategies when we identify those ourselves, or if community members make us aware of those issues. A lot of times we work with our municipal partners in order to, get them to participate in taking on some of those costs. Again, let's say there's the need to widen a road, or to, as I spoke to earlier, add a turn lane to make it more efficient. We're trying to work with our municipal partners. And sometimes we do have to bear certain expenses if it's on the parcel where the school is actually sitting. So if it's outside of our property, meaning the school district's property, of course, we would try to determine if it's a city, county, or state road, and then we would seek participation.
So the extension of lanes for turn lanes, specifically ingress and egress, adjacent to a school board property is borne by the district? And then if it's outside of that property, it's borne by the local governing body?
If it is a county road, a state road, or one that is had been developed by or maintained by the local municipality, yes. But there are instances, again, where we're trying to mitigate those issues. I'll give you an example. Where there's enough land to add a lane that's actually on the property of the school, we will make changes and we will bear those costs, but we cannot bear the costs if it is on a municipal road. I don't think that would be fair to the residents of the city and those students who have paid taxes toward the
I completely agree with how you mitigate the cost associated with the additional trips. My point is, there is cost associated with a change in the transportation system that the district made a couple years ago. And
Are you speaking?
those costs have to be borne by the general public. And it doesn't go away. There's costs associated with how we get kids to and from schools. And I want everybody to understand that cost is borne by somebody.
If I may, are you speaking to the proximity plan?
Yes, sir.
With the proximity plan, actually, that was established to reduce some of the costs, because in the proximity plan, the child or student should attend the school that's closest to his or her community. And if they are outside of a 2-mile zone, then they have to bear the expense of transportation.
Yes, and I completely understand, and I appreciate the district and the decision they made. I just want to clarify that the cost of those parents who choose to provide transportation on their own reflects in a cost to somebody, whether it's a district or a local governing agency, to provide for ingress and egress because of the additional trips.
May I?
Sure.
To reclaim it to the sales tax specifically, may I ask a clarifying question? Does the change to the district busing policy create a need for different traffic improvements that are now borne by the sales tax?
I wouldn't say that is the primary cause. If you think about it, the school district of Lee County student population is growing. It seems like every year. I believe during the first couple of weeks or 10 days of this school year, we had an additional 700 students just in a couple of weeks, and that has continued to grow. Of course, there are students who leave as well.
So it's no.
Yes.
The sales tax funds are not being utilized to subsidize what may have been a school district policy change?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you very much.
In our, I should have mentioned this to our new members, but traditionally we'll go through the construction projects followed by maintenance and technology. So I believe our technology is up next, and I appreciate any questions.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Way. I'm the Technology Director of Operations. Welcome new members and returning members. Appreciate the opportunity to join you and review our last quarter goals and projects here for referendum dollars. On our first slide here, we review some of the high school Chromebooks. So the one-to-one program we have where every student gets a Chromebook for learning in the classroom as well as taking home. They can use that item and the device at home or at school, and all the filtering goes along with it. If you advance one slide, you'll see we did about 11.5 million in sales, purchasing to provide those to the high schools across the board there. Every single high school was a refresh. So that's all going to be delivered in May. We're gearing up now for all of those deliveries and whatnot in between the end of school and the start of the next. On the next slide, we talk about instructional refresh. Instructional refresh for us is, all of the teacher laptops that are used to communicate and show in the classroom, support staff, paras, health services, anybody at the schools that are helping in the classroom and needed for support to make sure that we continue that learning. This is our middle school and K-8 refresh for that. As well as the next slide was our high school. We were tasked to take care of both of those levels for secondary this past quarter, and that's the summary there. We did about 1.5 or 1.2 and maybe 1 million for each to give them the proper instructional devices to be able to support the classroom. And then, as we always do, we need to keep up with our security maintenance. We have new servers, broader storage is needed, faster NVRs, camera updates, all of that stuff needs to be maintained going through, and every quarter we'll have close to $300,000 to $500,000 of maintenance and additional servers and whatnot to repair and replace out at the schools, and we try and capture that information for you as well on the last slide. Anybody have any other questions for us?
The Chromebooks, are we still getting like the 3 years of life out of them before we refresh, or how often are?
So we were asked to take a look at that and do what we could to extend the life of those, which would lessen the dollar needs over time, and we've extended those out a few more years all the way across, and that's with laptops as well as the Chromebooks. So we've also accommodated the additional servicing that we would need along with that. So all of those little aspects that cover that and maintain those devices for another year or two beyond the 3. So right now we're at 4 to 5 years on Chromebooks. So that will help us with not needing to refresh this allocation again unless there's a depletion of numbers for some reason, but shouldn't be for another 4 years. That would be great. It's much better than the 3.
Okay, so when you're talking about like refresh for the teacher devices, the Chromebooks, they've reached the end of that useful life, 3 to 5 years.
Right. We generally set up maintenance, service, and warranty for the lifespan of the device to ensure that it's available for everybody throughout that time period. And then we budget all of the replacements that are needed and make sure that we do that at the cadence it's required so that we can continue to maintain, and we don't want to get a bunch of broken devices that have really no means to take care of the service without it being at cost to the district. And that's usually our milestone to try and plan for refresh. And then we'll often do something late, something earlier, depending upon the model, but we always look to cover that on the service side if we need to.
And last question on that, are a lot of those devices, like, are the useful lives pretty staggered, or are we running into like a lump sum where 80% in a single year have to be refreshed?
It's staggered. We generally have secondary is different than our elementary group and specialty areas, so we kind of block them off in that realm. I think this time or this year we did a little bit more in the instructional technology because some of the devices have already been aged out a year or two beyond to try and save for renewing. So we kind of added into the middle school, and we're looking for those to be delivered this summer as well.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Just to follow up on Mr. Repstor's question, which I don't feel like we got a full answer on this. As it relates to investing sales tax dollars in things that are in some way disposable, 3 or 4 year lifespan.
Right.
So we're in the 6th year of a 10-year tax, correct? So if you get 5 years out of these
right.
Chromebooks, you will be outside of the tax.
Correct.
And we have to understand how the district will replace what I viewed as about $13.5 million worth of Chromebooks in a single year.
Right.
So is the district planning for a refreshment strategy that is post-tax? You're buying things with the tax, but you'd have to replace them outside of the tax if it were not renewed. Just for this group, it is a 10-year time frame of the half-penny sales tax unless renewed. So we're making commitments. You build a building, it's going to be there for 40 years. You buy a laptop, it's going to be there for 3 years. So what is the plan in year 11?
Sure. So we're looking at those strategies now, trying to plan for, what if possibilities of the referendum not being approved, whether we work with academics and follow through with a one-to-one. That would certainly change any kind of needed financing for returning to a one-to-one. A lot of what we might plan would need to reduce or extend it out a little bit, but we're starting to look at that stuff. We just barely finished our 5-10 year kind of summaries, and we're looking pretty hard at that. I don't believe we have any answers to be able to share with you, but we're outlining the risks, trying to understand our options of fallback or what we might be able to do should we lose the referendum. That's a good point.
Any other questions for Mr. Way? Thank you, sir, for being with us. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Just one briefly.
sure.
Regarding the presentation devices and instructional refresh,
Mm-hmm.
does that cost purely the devices and materials, or is that also training?
No, it's strictly devices and materials. Peripherals is kind of like, we have dock cameras, printers, mice, docks, that kind of stuff for the students is oftentimes needs to be refreshed, as well as with the teachers and our support staff.
Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions tonight?
Thank
Great.
you,
Well,
Mr.
thanks,
Webb.
everybody.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening.
We will move forward onto the capital maintenance projects update. Do we get Mr. Stevens back to back?
You do. How about that? Good evening again, everyone. Larry Stevens. And in this presentation, I'd like to detail some of the Maintenance Department referendum projects that have been achieved using the ISSOC funding.
That's the next item.
As was indicated in the last presentation, the department has been able to accomplish a wide range of projects for the SDLC School District of Lee County, utilizing ISSOC funding. With the last presentation, it was emphasized that energy efficiency were some of the upgrades that were accomplished using the ISSOC funding. Today, what I'd like to focus on in the department is another type of project that also has benefits with time savings associated with those projects and accomplishment of those projects. They would be flooring upgrades, and we would be interested and plan to use square carpet portions and LVT versus full carpet, which if it were stained or destroyed, you would have to basically pull up the whole carpet and replace a large section. On an annual basis, there's been a steady increase of approximately 1,000 to 1,200 students per school year in the school district of Lee County. The additional population in our facilities creates more foot traffic and/or wear and tear on flooring surfaces. Additionally, given that the district is continuing to add additional campuses, the district has to strategize and implement solutions that are resilient and offer longevity. The current district standard has been changed from using vinyl composite tile or VCT / roll carpet or roll carpet to incorporate more LVT, which is luxury vinyl tile, and carpet squares in specialized spaces, such as music rooms, art rooms, etc. Utilizing the LVT option eliminates the need of stripping and waxing during the summer months. That would be stripping and waxing for vinyl composite tile. With the VCT option, some facilities could take up to 30 summer days or 240 hours per custodial team member to fully complete their stripping and waxing projects. With the LVT option, flooring-related tasks could be completed in approximately 10 days or 80 hours per custodial team member. That's equivalent to 1/3 of the time it takes to strip and wax VCT floors. With the savings of man hours, the facilities can redirect time towards pressure washing of exterior grounds, campus beautification projects, and all the extra time will allow facilities to be proactive in addressing common SREF or state regulations for educational facilities, citations that could arise annually. Most common SREF citations include water that has been swapped and damaged ceiling tile, replacing burnout light bulbs, repairing emergency lighting, recalibration of doors to open and close freely, and the other benefit utilizing an LVT option is the rapid turnaround time when facilities are impacted from storm-related and/or unforeseen flooding events. As for fiscal year 25, the Maintenance Department has 36 deferred maintenance projects with a purchase order. This year's project list encompasses switchgear, flooring, chiller upgrades, and more. And you can see those on the screen. They encompass a number of the school district schools, and it tells you what the specific upgrade is including. And it is, the status of each project is also reflected on that slide. Thank you very much. And does anyone have any questions?
Would you mind just reminding me what dispatched means again?
Pardon me?
The term dispatched in the status. Can you just refresh my memory what dispatched means?
That basically is saying that we have asked staff members to go out and take care of a particular project. It's not dispatch in terms of transportation.
And I can add into that specifically. It means that a purchase order has been dispatched to the vendor to begin the work.
Okay, so it's...
I should have read the page that you were specifically talking
the actual word dispatch. So it means like something's already happening.
It has been processed.
Okay.
It is in the works.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Other questions? I have one. You mentioned the change in flooring to LVT and to the squares. What's the delta in the cost of upgrading? I know there's plenty of savings on the back end of maintenance, but what's the delta on the cost?
I would have to look into that for you. I don't have that particular information in front of me, but I will be very happy to get that for you. We have, I can tell you, completed, our research to determine if there is a change, a lower cost for those particular products versus using what has been utilized in the past. And there is a cost capture or savings that's associated with that, because we're trying to reduce our costs, reduce the time to replace and repair various types of equipment, meaning floors, carpet, etc. And the cost also, as I mentioned, there's a cost saving in the time just to replace a particular, the LVT versus VCT. There are man-hour savings, there are material savings, but I can certainly get the specific cost for you if you would like.
So the increase in cost of the materials would be borne by the sales tax, but the
Sorry, go ahead.
But the savings, cleaning, whatever, would be captured in operations?
Yes, yes. And there's not an increase in changing from LVT to VCT. There's actually a savings, and that was one of the decisions that was made in order to move from VCT to LVT. And also, instead of buying a large piece of carpet, we went to the squares because they're more easily replaceable. For instance, if we had a child or an individual, an adult that stained the carpet in their squares, we just pull that one square up.
I was assuming, and probably my error, that the LVT and the squares were more expensive, but easier to take care of.
Yes.
That's not true, that they're actually cheaper and easier to take care of.
And of course, it depends on quality as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you.
Will we see you again? Because maybe you could just stay there.
But send me an invitation.
All right. So moving forward, we will go on to our financials. So again, the meat of the committee is really wrapped up in two things: evaluating the projects that they are undertaking and making sure they're aligned with the sales tax. And then the second is the financial forecast. And so we'll welcome Matt Acosta to give us that. Thanks, Matt.
All right, well, good evening, committee, and welcome new committee members. My name is Matt Acosta. I'm the Assistant Budget Director, and I'm just going to go through a bit of the finances with you. So you should have received the annual report of budget to actuals, and if you look at this report, it will show you your what we have budgeted in each of the various areas of improvement, whether construction or safety, maintenance, and technology. You can see the budget and actuals and compare them between 23-24 and 24-25, as well as cumulative actuals for the length of the sales tax for all the various projects. You also have the quarterly showing the difference between Q1 and Q2, which is what we're reviewing. The first slide I want to show you is the FY25 estimated capital revenue. And so this is for all capital revenue, not including fund balances. So this is all new revenue, totaling $397.1 million. Of that, Sales tax makes up 30% of the expected capital revenue, or about $122.5 million. Again, this does not include our fund balances. The next slide is our sales tax budget. This is including rollover from previous years, totaling $283 million. Of that, the largest amount budgeted is for construction at 43%, and this does include debt service for major construction projects. And then after that, capital maintenance, and then we have reserved for future projects about 19%. What we're next going to look at is our year-over-year by month earned, and you can see where we are in FY25 compared to FY24 as of our January payment. So you can see we're tracking relatively closely. We're being bolstered by our quarterly discretionary payments, which are coming in above what we've projected, although our month-to-month for many of those have been slightly below what we've projected. In case you don't know what the quarterly discretionary payments are, those are a quarterly true-up of our sales tax payments. So we receive them month by month, and then at the end of each quarter, they kind of true up for any additional monies received. So this next slide is our sales tax revenue showing from inception to date. So you can see on the left what we have projected since sales tax has started. So about $588 million we've projected. Actually, and for actuals, we received 625, or about 6% over what we've projected from session January 2019 to date. As of January FY25, we've projected that we received 66 million, and to date we've received about 63 million, or about 4% below projection. And our last slide, we're looking at the revenue projected to actual month by month, and you can see we are currently about 2.8 behind projected. So we are working on doing our projections for FY26 now, and we are looking forward to presenting that to you at our next meeting. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. What is the Revenue Projection Committee looking at going forward? It seems like retrospectively we were underestimating. Presently, we were just narrowly overestimating. What is the committee projecting going forward? Increase, decrease, impact to the economy? I know you guys watch this stuff. Where do you think this is going forward?
So currently what I've been reviewing and reading on is it's a bit of a mixed bag. When looking at the Office of Economic and Demographic Research, for this year, they've actually reported an increase in sales tax. So they adjusted their estimates to show that increase. However, they're not very optimistic about that continuing on, and they're saying all trends are pointing towards the negative. Now, we've had many years where it seems like we were just hitting about 5-10% increase over, year on year, and in my impression, it almost seems like maybe about last year we might have started to feel the ceiling and begin to plateau, and so maybe we have found the ceiling, but not quite the floor yet, and maybe we're at more of a plateau period right now. So our thought is looking forward is perhaps just moderate growth, and that's kind of where we're looking, but we're still doing the research.
So you see your projections as being more conservative than what they've been historically?
We've always tended to be conservative, and I think that's why in the past our projections have kind of been maybe under what we've seen in actuals.
Which I'm not complaining,
yeah.
Trust me. The other way is not good. But
so we've tended to steer on the more conservative, and for this year, we actually pulled back from the year before in our estimate and kind of kept it stable. I think we really had no growth from year over year. So, and as we can see, we're actually kind of still a little under. Now, most of the revenue that we see a big jump in February and March. And obviously we know we're in season now, and those tend to be big months, especially spring break, and we get lots of travel within that. So we can see if that corrects, and we catch up on some of that. We haven't seen those big months yet reflected in the revenue yet. So we will kind of keep an eye on that and see how that affects the projection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Costa?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the presentations from staff regarding the projects. It's now the responsibility of the ISSOC committee to conduct 2 votes. So the first vote would be the approval on the projects as presented as being aligned with the sales tax, and the second vote is going to be the approval of the financials that were, I'm sorry.
It's the financials and other projects.
Okay.
Get it right, Mr. Chair.
No, sir.
Didn't we relieve you of your duties? But I appreciate that.
And I will relinquish whatever you need.
Okay, we will reverse what the chair has said. The first thing the chair has screwed up. The first motion will be to approve the financials as presented by the district, and the second will be the projects as presented by the district. So may I have a motion on the financials, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Fred.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. Any discussion about the financials as presented? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The second motion will be on the projects as presented in alignment with the sales tax and the referendum as passed. May I have a motion?
I so motion.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you very much. On the agenda, there is a opportunity for members to comment. I'm going to open it up first to any of our new members. This is your first time seeing the presentation, getting the data, hearing from the staff in advance, looking at the minutes. Do you have any observations or changes or anything that you'd like to see differently?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My only comments are gratitude for being here. Thank you for taking the chair, sir. And you, sir, for taking the vice chair. I'm looking forward to doing this, and I appreciate any guidance any existing members have for me. That's all. Thank you.
And likewise, thank you all, especially the new members, for joining us. Any other feedback from the new members? Fred?
I'm not a member. I'll wait.
Or, go ahead.
My only comment is that, as you mentioned, we're in year 6. So at some point, they need to start not just telling the story, but preparing for another vote. And I think it's important that what we're doing is, improving these projects and looking at financials, that when it comes around for that vote, that we can also share what we did to make sure those things were in line. And I don't know when that process starts or when that vote will take place, but I'm sure, it's something that will be within the next couple of years, 3 years.
Yes, not under the purview of this committee, but I'm sure that there will be someone at the district or on the board who will lead the charge to take the vote. But I agree, this is $625 million that would not have been received but for this sales tax. It has transformed our system and added a lot of seats to our system as our district continues to grow, as well as maintenance and security and technology. So yes, this is significant. There needs to be a plan for the sunset or the continuation of this, and I think our marketing people at the district need to begin to lay out a project of communications to plan for either the continuation or the sunset of this. I agree with you.
I'm glad the topic was breached. I was going to feel very premature bringing it up, but I'm glad it kind of came up organically. Our superintendent, Carlin, came to our Horizon Council, I believe it was last month, did a fantastic preservation about the district and the beginning of her term, and did a fantastic job speaking to us. And she was very candid that she would not be advocating for the renewal of the half-cent sales tax. So I'm glad it came up, because I was going to raise what probably felt like a very premature but a foresight issue, that if there is going to be a sunset, is that within the purview of this committee, and do we is it our job to sit here and tell the district why are you starting a new Riverdale 4-year type construction project, or do we just simply say make sure the money you've got is spent appropriately? So I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm glad it came up, because I'm sure hearts and minds can change between now and 3 years. But at least as of last month, our superintendent has taken the position preemptively that she's not going to advocate for the renewal. So if we need to do something as a committee, whether it's legal staff or district staff, guide the committee in how that looks, what a sunsetting looks like.
Mr. Chairman, I too spoke publicly with the superintendent who gave a similar presentation at BUPAC, and I challenged her as that where she was going to find the replacement dollars. And her response was appropriate, very appropriate. She says she wasn't confident yet that we were appropriately spending every single dollar we had. And I believe once she feels that we are, as a district, spending every dollar appropriately, she may be willing to change that position. What I think is important for us to tell the general public, and from the inception as the original chair and working with all of us trying to establish procedures for this committee, which are now pretty much status quo, but we worked really hard to establish them. I tell the general public that we vote on every dollar twice. We vote to approve the project, and then we vote to approve the expenditure of the dollar after voting on the project. And so I want the general public to understand that this group, an independent group of business folks and general population folks, are voting on every dollar, every sales tax dollar district spends twice. And I think that's something that we need to get out to the general public. We need to get the confidence of the general public into what our oversight is. And then to the superintendent's credit, we also need and I think it's rightfully so, that she convinces herself that the district is spending every dollar it gets appropriately before they ask to renew this. So my hope is that between now and the time it comes for renewal, the superintendent will feel comfortable in moving forward with her projection, and that we will feel comfortable going to the public saying that we have absolutely confirmed the expenditure of every sales tax dollar twice for the last 10 years.
Thank you for that. And as a reminder, and being with Joe as a long-term member of this committee, very proud of the work that we've done in overseeing that. And that is the charge. And if you haven't read and understood the charge of your role on this committee, it is to ensure that the sales tax dollars are spent in accordance with the referendum that was passed. It is not to establish the capital plans for the district. It is not to evaluate the operations of the district. It's to make sure that we're aligning our sales tax dollars as appropriate to the referendum. There's a lot of work to be done outside of this committee related to operations, continuity, future planning, but thank you all for sticking to what our role is as a committee. Other comments?
It was my pleasure to serve as the secretary for 3 years. I am devastated that it is no longer a role, but I'll be okay. But I am so thankful to Mr. Elliott and Mr. Seminow for taking over leadership of this board.
And in all honesty, thank you very much. for your service and for stepping up and doing that. And good luck in your game tonight.
Thanks.
Any other thoughts? I don't believe we need a motion to adjourn, so the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Such a good first
Mr.
meeting.
Chairman.
Thank you.